you should be writing off everything within your lifestyle as long as you keep good records and as long as you can legitimize it as a business expense. So most people that hear this, they will have a lot of internal resistance to writing off dinners and trips and if they decide to get a watch. But that's because you guys are lying about certain expenses that you shouldn't be. You shouldn't be. And the IRS knows that people are going to do that. So there's a certain little cushion that's built in. But if you actually apply what it is that I'm saying and understand the tax code, you no longer have to do any of that shit.
What it is, Brad Lee, back again with another episode of Dropping Bombs today in the studio, folks. As always, I got a real treat for you. Chris Cavallini's in the house again.
What's up, brother?
If you guys don't remember Chris Cavallini, you can search the episodes. But Chris Cavallini's the CEO of Nutrition Solutions. He's an entrepreneur, kind of a holistic medicine man, if you will.
I mean, that's a fair assessment, I suppose.
I mean, he tries everything. If you guys go to his Instagram, which by the way, you guys can find it at Chris Cavallini, just like it sounds, Cavallini.
That's right.
Chris Cavallini. Go look. You'll be like, dude, this guy's fucking jacked. Like jacked. His abs have abs.
Can I just say something?
Yeah.
Did you know that 1 in 3 men cannot even see their own penis?
Shut up.
No, that's a fact. You can fact check it. We don't have a fact checker in here, but you could fact check it.
What do you mean, dude?
I mean that
they look down, their belly's so big they can't see their dick?
Correct. 1 in 3. It's embarrassing.
I think that's bullshit.
Well, it's not.
Dude, you got to look around. Like, dude, even fat people can see their dick.
Not in a direct line of sight. Perhaps if they moved if they took 2 handsful of,
they just got short ding dings.
Well, the reason for that actually is the more body fat you have, the less a visible penis you have. There's actually a condition called buried penis syndrome, where this is the honest to God truth. For every 30 to 40 extra pounds of body fat, what basically happens is your gut basically swallows your penis. So for every 30 to 40 extra pounds of body fat you have, you actually
Dude, don't tell my wife that. If you tell my wife that, she's going to want me to get really heavy.
So yeah, there's that. But I think
she wants a couple more inches.
Yeah. The positive though is the opposite is true, right? If you start losing the body fat, you will then be rewarded with more penis that you can actually see. I mean, I think it's a problem.
Not only see, but use.
Correct. If you wake up every morning to a reflection that, makes you feel deep feelings of shame and you cannot even see your own dick, I think that's going to translate into many other areas of your life, personally or professionally.
The person that wakes up that way is way ahead of the person that wakes up and doesn't even fucking recognize that he should feel that way.
Yeah.
And by the way, it's like, I'm not speaking of my own belief. I don't believe people should feel shame because they're fat. They should just be aware that it's simply a choice. Like earlier when you said, I forget what you said, but I said, what did I say? Remember what I said, I am happy where I'm at. Or
yeah. I don't really necessarily believe in happiness as a benchmark of whether or not life is good. I think.
Yeah, but if everyone goes to your Instagram
yeah.
and sees how shredded you are.
Yeah, that's not my message. My message is not try to work to be anything near like me. Yeah, but if you can't see your own dick.
That's not going to be a lot of people.
Yeah. I mean, if you can't see your own dick, if you can't bend over to tie your shoes without having that be an event, if you have a difficult time, walking through the airport, we talk about understanding where we're at as a society. I was at the airport the other day and again, just taking a look around, and I wasn't looking to see how many fat people I could observe in real time. That's quite obvious to everywhere. I want to kind of segue into that in a minute, but I was looking around trying to find fit people. And it's almost like if you see somebody who's in shape now, it's like an anomaly. But where we kind of differ.
Do you think it's growing? I mean, I see more and more people in shape.
Correct. Because of the groups and the circles that you surround yourselves with, the events that you go to, these are people that are like-minded. They have a growth mindset. They're trying to improve themselves in every measurable way. And they have some degree of awareness that being in shape is a huge indicator of success in other areas.
And advantage.
100. I mean, the fitter and stronger you are, the more disciplined and confident you become. And that discipline and confidence can then be deployed to any area of your life that you're looking to conquer.
Indeed.
But let's talk about the shame thing. Because I very much am a proponent of shame. I think shame culture is I mean, the one thing about shame culture, if we look throughout the course of human history, is it works. The Macedonians, the Spartans, I mean, all of the Mongolians, even the Marine Corps, all of these warrior cultures were shame-based. And basically what that translated into was the fact that if people were not up to par, they would shame them until they were. And it was extremely effective. And unfortunately, we live in a society today where that's frowned upon. But I will say I would not be the person I am today if not for the shame that I was subjected to when I joined the military. I joined the military out of high school, was arrested 17 times before my 18th birthday, was given an ultimatum, either go to jail or join the military. Obviously, I joined the military. I was very fortunate to be in a very elite community. I was a Navy deep sea diver, 70% attrition rate when I went through training. It was very difficult training for normal people. I'd been through so much trauma earlier in life that the mentally challenging evolutions weren't as difficult for me because of the trauma that I already been exposed to. I had a very privileged childhood based off the trauma and the abuse and the fact that I was in and out of foster homes, group homes, juvenile detention centers, and jail cells. This prepared me for the trauma that I'd faced later in life. But once I got
but you just said privileged.
Yeah.
That was privileged?
Yeah, without question. I mean, I wouldn't be where I am today if not for the training essentially that I was subjected to growing up. I mean, all of these things, I mean, the worst things that have ever happened to me were the best things that have ever happened to me. And I think with the right perspective on life, I think this same principle can apply to anybody. But what I was just saying is when I got to my first command, I was young, I was stupid. I'd made it through school, but I was now in a community with exclusively high value men who were very disciplined, who had their shit together, and I simply did not. And they made me aware of this fact in the most uncomfortable way possible. And they rode my ass, and they rode my ass until I got it together. And without that shame, I would have not advanced. Now, I realize that not everybody's built for that. But at the end of the day, that's why there's winners and there's losers. If you cannot take feedback, if you cannot be told the truth or hear the truth, because people get triggered and people feel like they're being shamed if they come across a piece of content of somebody who's taking the time and investing the energy to explain to them in a way that might not be necessarily appealing to their, ego or sensitive eardrums about why it's better for them to be in shape, why it's better for their family, why it's better for their success, why it's better for their income, because physical fitness is directly related to income and status as a man. And I don't think people can really dispute that. I think that shame is actually a very good way to get people so uncomfortable to the point where they start taking the action that is needed to fortify any area of their life.
I wish I had a lefty in here that we could debate that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we could set that up for the next one because
we need a lefty, because I would agree. So me and you are agreeing on that. Why? Well, because I asked someone the other day, I said, would it be okay to shame somebody if they were, for example, fat shaming? Mm-hmm. I said, so if they're fat and you could shame them and it would cause them to get in shape and change their life, is shaming okay? And some dude down there said, no. I'm like, what are you talking about, dude? Well, that's not very nice I'm like, it's not very nice to let them remain in a condition that's going to harm them. So if you really do love somebody, you want them to be in the best physical condition that they can be. And all you're doing is encouraging it, but it doesn't work. When is it okay to shame them into it? They said never. And I'm like, even if it works.
But that's because that's because that person.
Dude, I'd rather you shame me and I get fucking ripped and look back and say, thank you for shaming me, rather than you don't shame me and I'm fat my whole life.
What's the opposite of shame? Pride. Exactly. So if you shame somebody to the point where they take the action to where they can eventually be proud of themselves, I mean, there's no better feeling than that. We all talk about the chasing happiness, and really everybody has this perception in their mind of what they believe happiness is. But really what it comes down to is being proud of who you are and where you're going.
Yeah. And by the way, he has a nutrition solutions company, and you would think, well, he's just trying to get us to buy his meals. He don't really care whose meals you buy as long as you're eating correctly and being fit. Yeah.
100%. The thing is, a lot of times we hear people ask us questions about how do you stay motivated? This is a question that I get hundreds of times a week. And this is kind of, I think when people see people like yourself, Brad, are succeeding and continuing to evolve and continuing to grow, they think that you have some source of motivation that they're simply not aware of or is not available to them in whatever paradigm they're in. And usually what the popular answer is oh, it's not motivation, it's discipline. And this is true. Discipline is important. But I think the reason so many people are simply not able to get ahead, people are not able to make the changes that they're looking to make with their life is because A, they have not gotten to a point of intolerance with their current circumstances, and B, they don't have any energy. It's like most people listening are low energy people. They just simply don't have the energy. They look at people who are doing things, whether in the gym, whether their business, whether their families, and it's like, damn, I don't have the energy for that. Well, if you're eating a steadfast diet of fast food and processed bullshit, you are not fueling your body with the nourishment it needs to in kind reward you with the currency of life, which is more energy. Energy is really what we need to get up in the morning and attack our goals, whether it's with our body, our career, our finances, or with our family. So yeah, you gotta put good fuel in your body so your body can do what it's capable of. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, well, I started that just simply to say, even though he's got a company called Nutrition Solutions, so anybody that's out there that's thinking, fine, I'm going to get in shape. Diet's the biggest part of it. It's not just busting your ass in the gym. That's a lot of it, but I'd say diet's more of it. When I've dieted and lost weight and got in better shape, barely worked out, it was the diet. And then I've ate like shit a little bit and worked out heavy as hell and I lost weight. So guess what? You can eat like shit and still get in shape. You're just not going to do it as quickly and as soundly, which is why you started that company a long time ago anyway. Agreed. So they know you were in the military.
So really quickly, do you
Navy,
know,
right?
Do you know how many Americans don't work out percentage-wise of the population?
91.
79.
Do you know how many? Did you know that 72% of statistics are made up on the spot?
No, they're not. This one is actually true. So 3/4 of the adult population are overweight, 40% are obese. 79% of the population does not work out. So I think that kind of really speaks to the importance of diet, because when you're fueling yourself systematically, you then have energy that you can use to go work out. Right now, people say they don't have the time. They don't have the, they don't have the time.
They just don't want to admit that it sucks.
I think it's a combination of that and the fact that they just simply do not have the energy, and you don't know how amazing you're capable of feeling until you start putting things in your body that are actually designed to be there.
Yeah, like good food or exercise or oxygen or shit like that.
Yeah, I wasn't referring to steroids.
Now, and by the way, people are going to look at you and say, dude, guaranteed you've done steroids. Mm-hmm. What do you tell them?
I tell them that, but you're not sure if you left your cape at the dry cleaner there, Captain Obvious. I not only have done steroids, I sold steroids for many years. I have multiple felonies on my record validating that fact. As a drug dealer, the same way as an entrepreneur, I was a massive advocate of my own brand, of my own product. So yeah, I've used steroids. The interesting thing is, back when I was using steroids, significantly young, stupid, irresponsible, not eating the right way, I didn't look anywhere near as good as I do now. Now I'm age 40 now. I do testosterone every single week, have been since age 36.
Intramuscular?
Oh, yeah, of course.
See, not of course.
What do you mean?
I'm going to turn you on to a new motherfucking way.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm always open to trying new things. I think open-mindedness is
trust
the
me,
key to virtue in life.
Subcutaneous.
Yeah. With the testosterone, that's interesting.
Subcutaneous, twice a week instead of once a week. Mm-hmm.
Oh, I do it twice a week.
Split it, subcutaneous. Mm-hmm. Oh, your free test goes through the roof.
Really? Listen,
there's no more sore butt because, dude, let's face it. Sometimes you stick a needle in your butt to get that intramuscular, and it's a little sore for a minute.
Yeah, I like that though. I like that. Feels like progress to me.
Like, dude, that's what fucking keeps me from wanting to do it.
Oh man, it's not that bad,
dude. I don't want no fucking needle on my ass every week for the rest of my life.
So I don't want the conversation to get away from. People look at me and they hear us talking about steroids. Like, oh, see, that's it. That's it. That's where I was going
with it, because when I hear people say that, well, he's doing steroids. Well, why don't you fucking do something? Yeah. Well, I don't want to do that. Well, then
listen, I will fund your steroid cycle, okay, for 60 days. And I'm not saying you look like me. I'm saying if you can even lose 15 fucking pounds, I mean, I will.
Because it ain't the steroids.
It is. It absolutely is not. And one of the questions that I get a lot from people regarding my company, we have a lot of significant transformations under our belt. We have a 6-week transformation challenge we do every year. And basically the purpose of this challenge is to help people understand that it does not take very long to get in shape.
It really doesn't.
Provided you are willing to take the right course of action, go all in, and make this a focus and a priority. And we get asked all the time, do you guys ever sponsor people for the 6-week challenge? Like people who are really out of shape, and basically you guys sponsor them? I'm like, no, absolutely not. I would never do that, because I can't help somebody who is not willing to help themselves. So if this person who's fat, who's eating pizza every day, who stops at Dunkin' Donuts in the morning and, is sitting on their fat ass watching 6 hours of TV every night, if that person hasn't even got off the couch yet, and I could literally pay for all their food, I could pay for personal training sessions, I could personally call them every morning and say, hey bro, let's get it. It's time to get after it today. Let's go to work. Dude, they wouldn't fucking do it, because people have to reach a point in their mind where they just become just sick and tired of the circumstances of their life. I believe the first and most important step to positive, lasting change is becoming intolerant of your current circumstances.
Well, again, if you take a list, write down everything you hate in life, and then refuse to tolerate anything on that list will dissipate.
Yeah, just decide.
It will go away.
Yeah.
People are like, what do you mean? Write down everything you don't want in your life, and then draw a line and say, you're not going to tolerate any of that, and it'll all go away.
Yeah. And getting in shape, it's not just about having a 6-pack. It's not just about looking good naked, although that is important, because again, if you're waking up every morning and the first way you start your day is by being greeted effectively by reflection that physically disgusts you, that is going to start your day on a very, very low vibration.
But what if the people aren't disgusted? There's a lot of dudes that walk around, they slap their belly and they're like, when they burp, and they're happy about it. It doesn't bother them at all.
Impossible. It doesn't.
In fact, their girlfriend says dad bods are better looking.
Jesus Christ. Okay. So here's the thing about that. There's actually science around that. There's been studies, because this whole debate that has come up on social media over the last 5 years about whether or not women really do prefer dad bods. There was actually a study where a group of women were shown 160 photos of various men at just different fitness levels. 160 of 160 women selected the more physically fit, stronger, more masculine looking male. And this should come as absolutely no surprise to anybody, because it's rooted in human biology, right? A fitter, stronger male was more likely to be just more competent, a better protector, and more likely to provide a stronger, healthier offspring. So when a woman says that they prefer a dad bod, I think what they really mean is this. So if a woman sees a man who's fit and disciplined, obviously that man had to work really hard, make sacrifices, and make certain lifestyle decisions to get to that point. And that person is clearly not going to accept a female who's playing around on Instagram eating Nutella straight out of the jar all fucking day. So when a woman says
why buff dudes don't deal with them?
No, it's repulsive.
What would you do if you went home and your girl was eating Nutella?
It wouldn't happen.
Would it offend you?
It wouldn't offend me. It just wouldn't. I can't even get myself to think about that scenario, because it just wouldn't happen. And it's not because of fear of recourse. It's
would
just
it be like a nightmare? If you walked in and all of a sudden you looked down, she had a jar of Nutella and she was going, how was your trip?
Honestly, I'm not prepared to answer that question, because I couldn't even put myself. I'm not saying that I never eat bad. I'm not saying that the females in my life never enjoy a cheat meal with me or by themselves. I'm just saying this is not a lifestyle, right? And the whole thing with women and the dad bods is, when women says they prefer a dad bod, what they're really saying is they want to be with a man who will not judge them for gaining weight and not doing anything about it. And to add to that, what they're also saying is they do not want to have to compete with other women for their man's attention. So
is there such thing as a cheat week?
No.
Cheat day?
No. No.
See, that's where I got it wrong.
Yeah.
I kept.
That's eating like shit for a day. It's
but I didn't even think about it was a cheat meal. I'm like, oh, I thought it was a cheat day.
Yeah.
So like on Sundays, I go eat whatever I want, starting in the morning, and then boom, all day long, eat whatever I want.
I don't want to send the wrong message here, because I think the majority of people who hear this are at a point where they have absolutely no business thinking about cheat day, cheat meal. Like your whole life is a fucking cheat meal at this point. But when you get to a certain level of fitness, the way that you have, you can do that and still continue to make progress. I can do that. I don't do that, but I could if I wanted to. I just don't want to. If I eat like shit for a day, I don't feel good. I don't feel good. But on the other hand, like I really enjoy cookies and ice cream. It's like my favorite treat. Now, every time that I eat it, it's delicious. I enjoy it. I kind of anticipate, I look forward to it. And after, I don't feel any regret. I don't feel any shame. And within an hour, I take my shirt off. I have veins popping out of my abs, popping out of my biceps. The same cannot be said for most of the people who are hearing this. When you eat cookies and ice cream all the time, how could you possibly enjoy it as much? You're playing this shit out. So if you really love cookies and ice cream, eat it less. So when you do get to a point where you enjoy it, you don't feel like a bloated scumbag after the fact. And, when you look in the mirror, you certainly aren't seeing veins or seeing abs. You're seeing a body that, again, it's embarrassing.
Well, now you've also taken ayahuasca. Did you learn this from Mother Earth?
I did not. But what I did learn is having an edge is really important. I learned that it's very important to go through very difficult things, and that's what ayahuasca actually is. And I've been through so many difficult things. Ayahuasca did help kind of reframe my perspective on a lot of the trauma that I'd been through, a lot of the very difficult situations. And
for what though? What did it have you reframe? Like it wasn't as bad as you thought it was?
No, it was as bad, but because it was that bad, it actually was to my ultimate advantage. Because the more hard things that you go through, the more...
does it make you feel better?
Oh, man. So, okay, let me just tell you about the first night. I went to Costa Rica end of 2019, and it was about a six day excursion, if you will. And there was 4 back-to-back ceremonies between 8 to 13 hours. The first couple of days you're going these little like indoc classes, and the shamans are kind of giving you an idea of what to expect. They're helping you understand that you're going to be confronted with things that you never thought in your wildest dreams were possible. And they're just helping you to prepare for the journey that is to come. And one of the things that they said that was very powerful is when you're in this altered state of consciousness, you're still going to be somewhat aware and in control of your facilities. And when you're in a dynamic where you have the opportunity to step forward to the darkness and confront the darkness, you want to do that, because on this journey, we'll call it an ayahuasca trip, if you will, I think most people will understand that association. You are experiencing things and seeing things that are just not available at this normal level of consciousness. So just like in life, you'll have the opportunity when there's some problem going on or some trauma or some crisis, you'll have the opportunity to either go toward it or go from it. And what they helped us understand is during the ayahuasca journey, you want to go toward it because that's where the healing occurs. And basically what ayahuasca does is it helps attack trauma that is within your being, brings it to the surface, makes you aware of it, doesn't necessarily pull it out of you. This is what a lot of people think. They think they can go just drink some medicine and then no longer be a fuck up. No, it makes you aware of it. And then after the fact, it is up to you to do the work to essentially unfuck yourself. But the story that I wanted to tell about ayahuasca and the potential that I believe.
So hold on though.
Yeah.
So if I went and did it, and I'm not a fuck up, am I going to feel like a fuck up even though I'm not a fuck up? Or does everyone get their own message?
Everybody gets their own message.
So what would my message be?
It's so difficult to determine that, because when I went there, the sole purpose, at least what I thought my sole purpose in going, was to get off Adderall. I've been taking Adderall pretty religiously for multiple years, and I developed an awareness that Adderall made me less than my best self. It made me irritable. It made me anxious. It also sometimes tricked me into believing I was being a hell of a lot more productive than I actually was. And that was a problem. I've been on it for many years, and I didn't really put any direct effort into trying to quit, but I thought that ayahuasca would help me do that because of all the research that I'd done. So when I went there, I thought that that's the primary purpose that I was going for, but I quickly realized a lot of other things. It made me aware of behaviors and patterns that weren't serving me. It made me realize that I was constantly in judgment mode. I would always just, again, we're very judgmental creatures, but I'd reached a point with my judgment projecting that it was absolutely draining me of energy that I could use to a more productive purpose. But the story that I would really love to tell is the first night on the the first ayahuasca journey. I mean, it was amazing. I could tell you a bunch of things that I went through, but I'd rather talk about the next day when we basically did like kind of a reintegration class where people were sharing a little bit about what happened the night before. And there was a woman who basically raised her hand, and the shaman asked, so did you have any alien encounters? Because that's a thing that, you know, you can have on an ayahuasca journey. Very common experiences having some sort of encounter with an alien. Did you have any this? Did you have any that? She basically said she didn't see anything. She didn't hallucinate. She said she fell asleep. What remembers waking up to get a second cup, fell back asleep, had no dreams, no alien, no nothing. And the shaman's like, okay, well, it was very awkward hearing this. Again, she was right in front of me. I will never forget this. He's like, well, what is it that you would like to share? She's like, well, when we were walking home, and we're in the jungle in Costa Rica, walking to the little shitty hut that didn't have running water half the time, and the toilets didn't flush, and things like that. It's not the Ritz-Carlton. But she's saying she's walking through the jungle with her husband, and she just, her head started to really hurt. And she kind of covered up her ears, just asked her husband, you know, why are the crickets so loud? Why are the crickets so loud? And it was this very dramatic event. She felt like her head was about to explode. And then in that moment, her and her husband both at the same time realized that for the first time in her life, she was actually hearing out of her right ear. See, this woman had been deaf her entire life out of her right ear. And after an 8-hour ayahuasca ceremony, just like that, could now hear out of her right ear.
Well, you don't want to not hear out of your right ear, because if you can't hear out of the right ear, you can only use the wrong one.
I suppose. Yeah, that's a great point. But I think it's just kind of a testament that what that taught me, Brad, honestly, is that anything is fucking possible. Really, that was my takeaway. Even though that was her breakthrough.
But hold on, I don't want to ruin the climax of that story. Yeah. So she couldn't hear out of her right ear, and so
she was deaf her entire life in one of her ears.
Now she can.
Now she can.
And she still can?
I mean, I haven't kept in touch with this person.
But she could at the moment?
She could at the moment and did for the duration of the trip.
She's basically saying, my hearing's back.
Well, she had never had it in her right ear to begin with.
Even at birth?
Exactly.
Well, that's odd.
It's extremely odd.
And sometimes there's people that literally have psychosomatic ills where they are like blind or whatever, and it's all mental.
Whatever the case was, I was very happy for her. Obviously, that was a massive breakthrough. That was a miracle. I think people that hear this, whether you choose to believe it or not, I witnessed it.
Now, how many have you done?
Just one, sir. One time. That's enough.
Oh, you only did it once?
I did 4 nights of it back to back. But if you do it the right way and you do the work after the fact, there's really no need. Now, I've done other psychedelics. I've done the Toad, which 5-MeO DMT, which is the most powerful psychedelic on the planet.
Yeah, that's what I want to talk about. What happened there?
Man, that was intense.
Because Mike Tyson said you'll come back a different person.
Yeah, and I certainly did. The thing for me, the all the different psychedelics that I've done, which I've done ayahuasca, I did 5-MeO DMT, I've had some psilocybin, magic mushroom journeys. I mean, compared to ayahuasca and 5-MeO DMT, mushrooms it's like a, minor league, in comparison to
mushrooms are?
In comparison.
Have you ever smoked salvia?
I have not.
Dude, I got to tell you, that shit. And it was legal. You go into the freaking incense shop and they'd sell it to you. And it says right there, not to smoke, but you'd smoke it.
Not for human consumption.
I think it's illegal now.
Yeah.
But dude, I wasn't paying employees to smoke it on camera in our green screen room.
Oh, wow. I love that.
Well, yeah, I mean,
it was legal, of course.
Totally legal.
Yeah.
But from what I heard, you got fucked up for a minute. So I'd pay anybody that wants to smoke salvia would get $100 or whatever it was, and we filmed it. So everyone's doing it and they're acting crazy, bro. And I'm just like, after they're back, I'm like, well, what was it like? They're like, it's hard to explain. And it was almost like my head was melting. So I said, okay, everyone's pressuring me to take it. I said, fine. Well, we were smoking out of a can. You know how you
old
make
school
a can?
Yeah.
So I'd take just a little tiny puff. And I didn't want to take a lot. And I sat there. And all of a sudden, it felt like my head was getting pulled down to my arm. And I said, and I blew it out and I'm like, uh-oh. And I knew I didn't want to do this. And all of a sudden I put my head down like this and it felt like I was dematerializing and being sucked into the green screen. Mm-hmm. There were like these little toad people and there was a wall, like it was the trippiest shit.
That's crazy.
I've ever fucking felt, bro. And eventually I kept, trying to get the strength to snap out of it. And eventually, I was getting up and, next thing you know, I am snapped out of it. And I said, dude, that's fucking crazy. I said, how long was my head down for? They said like 20 seconds, maybe a minute. And I'm like,
yeah,
I was just gone for like fucking 30 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
was crazy shit, dude. Was it like that?
The toad was, so when you're on these intense psychedelic journeys, there is no construct of time.
Has anyone ever died?
Not that I'm aware of.
What if you forget how to breathe? Sometimes when I used to smoke weed, I'd smoke too much weed and I'd sit there and fucking forget how to breathe.
Yeah. So intention is really important, right? And I think the difference between the psychedelic journeys that I've done and what you just described, I'm going to places where there's shamans and spiritual healers. Everything is controlled. These are people that really have an understanding of how the medicine works. You go through a pretty significant vetting process to ensure that you are psychologically equipped to deal with some of the potential things that might materialize on the journey.
Yeah.
But, for me, I worked for I'm a personal development junkie. Okay. I've read over 1,000 books, which is a huge fucking waste of time, by the way. I would have been better off reading the same 15 books over and over again. Nonetheless, I look at psychedelics as personal development. The thing is, though, you can't skip steps. You can't, think that you can go from being just a complete fuck up and do psychedelics and all of a sudden you are the man. It does not work like that. But for me, what the psychedelics did is they helped me become more aware of certain things, and they helped me elevate my consciousness to a point where I was able to keep up with more things in real time with less stress. And the one thing that I wanted to make sure that I pointed out is witnessing somebody get their hearing back for the first time in their life during an ayahuasca ceremony. That was her miracle. That was her moment. But the lesson for me in that situation was truly anything is possible. So when I hear people complaining they can't lose 20 pounds, or hear people bitching that they can't seem to get ahead because of the economy, or, their business is fucked up because, Biden and the current administration, whatever, you can't tell me that things are not possible. That absolutely are. If somebody could get their hearing back for the first time in, 45 years, whatever the case was, anything is fucking possible. You just have to recognize that as such. And that really helped me kind of reinforce that mindset, because I believe that truly anything is possible. I don't just say that as a pump up. I believe that anything is possible if you're willing to just you have to be willing to do whatever it takes for as long as it takes. Anything is possible, but it might be a lot harder than you would like. It might take a lot longer than you would prefer. But at the end of the day, I alluded earlier, there's winners and there's losers. Pick a side. I know what side that we're on. There's plenty of space over here. Like we would love to have more of you over here. Eventually, I think that determination is made by the decisions that you make or fail to make during the day. This weekend, it's a Friday here. What people are going to do over the weekend is a pretty good indicator of where they are in life. I think most people take, in elementary school, weekends were, we had weekends to get away from school, and people take that mentality with them their entire life. If you go every single weekend without putting in any level or degree of effort into improving the measurable areas of your life that don't currently look the way that you want it to, then I'm sorry, have fun staying a loser forever. If you eat for 5 days clean and are in the gym, but then go on a binge Saturday and Sunday, you cannot expect that you're going to get the results, because 5 out of 7 is 71, right? 71 is a C-, below average. So if you're putting in a below average effort and expecting exceptional results, you're fucking delusional. Consistency is all the time for a very long time. It's not sometimes, it's not on weekdays. It's not, it's all the time. It's on your birthday. It's on holidays. It's especially on the days that you don't feel like it. And I think that's the part people fail to miss. It's all about consistency. Consistency is way more important, far more important than perfection. But you have to understand the consistency, the definition of consistency is all of the time for a long time.
Dude, because a lot of entrepreneurs listen to this, you built a company called Nutrition Solutions. Do you have any other ones, or is that the only one?
So I have a coaching business. I do peak performance coaching, high level. I started that. I've been doing that for a couple of years, but I had a very, very exclusive clientele. I was working with athletes and pro wrestlers and things like that. I have more clients, but I'm not currently taking any on just because I don't need the money. I like the money and I don't want to get to a point where I'm overwhelmed. But yeah, I have a lot of investments and things like that. But Nutrition Solutions is my primary venture and for sure the reason why I am here today.
Yeah, so your main business is Nutrition Solutions, where you freaking ship kick-ass, pre-made, delicious chef-made food all over the world.
Yeah, our product is good. And I honestly I know we probably don't have a lot of time left. You just gave me a really good idea. Obviously, the majority of people who listen to this are entrepreneurs. I would love to give some value that has absolutely nothing to do with kind of my sphere of influence, something that I learned in started to learn in 2021 and continue to today. Obviously, as entrepreneurs, we have a responsibility to win. Okay, as leaders, I think you have two primary responsibilities, really. You have to win and you have to make your team better. And part of winning and part of the measurable aspect of winning is making more money. In 2021, I learned that multiple people within my organization had been stealing from me. This has been going on for quite some time, to the tune of $600,000. And I became made aware of this, and obviously I'd failed to instill the right financial pillars in place and have the right systems to where I was able to find out about this in real time. So it was my fault. I have harbored no resentment, toward them, but obviously the situation pissed me off, and it pissed me off enough to take productive action to get all that money back and then some. And one of the things that I committed to doing is getting a better understanding of the tax code. I paid a lot of money in taxes. I do not like paying taxes. I don't think anybody does. And I think that a lot of, again, specifically entrepreneurs, they don't understand that the tax code was written to benefit entrepreneurs. And people say, oh, you have to pay taxes. And this is simply not true. I started to hear, Trump doesn't pay taxes. Bezos doesn't pay taxes. Apple doesn't pay taxes. And I'm thinking, so if these whales can figure out a way to minimize or completely alleviate their tax liability, surely a pissant like me can figure something out. And I really went on the warpath and started to learn as much as I could about the tax code. And so much, in fact, that for the last 2 years, I did not pay taxes. I did not have to pay taxes because I basically write off my entire lifestyle, which you can do provided you keep good receipts. And I also,
provided you keep good receipts.
Correct. You want to have records because a business expense is what you determine. What Bradley determines essential to operate his business. It is not the IRS's job to fight with you as to whether or not something is legitimate for your business. You have to define the parameters of what is and is not a business expense. So for example, somebody like yourself, obviously you're creating content all fucking day and you're always sporting these clean, Swiss luxury timepieces, seemingly a new one each time. If I'm you, I'm writing those off 100%,
oh, sure.
100% of it.
Yeah.
And obviously any vacation, right? If you go on a vacation and you're even thinking about business, maybe talk about business for a little bit just to make it official. All of these things. And there's just so many different things.
Have a meeting with minutes.
There you go. And also there's also credits out there. There's a research and development credit that I took advantage of for the last couple of years. Unfortunately, that is not available this year. But my point is, as an entrepreneur, it's very difficult in this current landscape, in this economy, to grow your business and to acquire new customers. Doesn't mean it's impossible. It surely is possible, and you need to be doing that. At the same time, by kind of changing your mindset around taxes and looking at it not as minimizing your tax liability, but looking at it as a way to increase your income, it's a very empowering mindset. And look, if a dummy like me can figure out how to do it, anybody can.
So what are you giving them? the fact that they need to pay attention to how much
they
taxes?
need to start. The biggest thing is stop believing that it is your 87-year-old accountant's job to tell you what it is that you're entitled to. That is a huge mistake. People lean on their accountants to basically get them the most amount of deductions, the most amount of benefits. That's not your accountant's job. It's your job to know what you're entitled to and bring it to this fucking old man who's been, preaching the same tax code shit since the early 90s. You got to understand that just like any other profession, right? Whether it's a police officer, a truck driver, a garbage man, a clerk at the grocery store, only a small percentage of people are putting in the work on a daily basis to improve their skill set, to sharpen their sword, and to learn all the newest shit. So as it relates to the world of finance and specifically the tax code, that shit is constantly changing. It is constantly evolving. So you have to know what you are entitled to. It is not your accountant's job to save you the most amount of money. It is your job to be aware of what is available to you and feed your accountant that information so you can minimize your tax liability. And I bought a G-Wagon 4x4 squared $250,000 truck, wrote off 100% of it, even though I didn't pay cash for it. I financed it through a company that sets it up as a lease to where you can do that, to where you have the ability to write it off. And there was a provision this last year that said that even if you finance, you can write off 100% of the total purchase price, even though I didn't fully pay it. So there's a whole bunch of stuff out there, and it's not super.
Where do people go to find it though?
Honestly, I'm not even going to promote my Instagram. The guy that I learned from is a guy called Cofield Advisor on Instagram. He is putting out amazing content for free. What I did is I started following him on Instagram, and I signed up for his text list, and I just listened to, I had the humility to understand that, okay.
Hey, you want to spend an hour a week with me helping you become a business badass? Well, check out my group in the link below.
Maybe my perspective on taxes and the fact that I needed to pay taxes, maybe I was given bad information or bad programming. And that's really what it comes down to, man, is changing your programming, because we are conditioned to believe that we have to pay taxes and it sucks and all this. And again, leaning on an accountant who has zero fucking loyalty to you. And see, your accountant is busy with especially if he's an old man, he's probably got some other issues going on that doesn't involve him working really, really hard to understand how he can save you money. So as entrepreneurs, recognize the easiest way that you can start immediately putting more money in the bank is by lowering your tax burden. So understanding the tax code and really just having the mindset and understanding the tax code was written for you to benefit you, not your employees, certainly not your employees. They have to pay taxes. They have to get stuck with that shit. The IRS has put these provisions in the tax code that allows you just to have the opportunity to not have to pay them. But if you're not up on the shit, of course they're going to take your money. So you got to know what the tax code is to a certain degree, and just recognize that it's in your best interest to do so. And I realize that I'm probably the last person people would think to share that message, but I've lived it for the last 2 years. I was
going to say, this is a curveball.
Yeah, dude. Well, I legit want to give value to people based off my experiences, man. And I again, let the lesson in the lesson be getting pissed off is a good thing. I got pissed off about the fact that I failed to set up my company in a way that didn't leave us susceptible and vulnerable to theft. And I put my team, I put my clients, I put myself in a terrible position. And I got pissed off enough to take the productive action that was needed to figure out how I could not just make more money, but keep more of the money that I was making. We worked so hard. I don't want to have to give the money that I worked so hard for to these dickheads just because.
And they're giving it to other fucking countries.
Yeah, it's a disgrace. So learn the tax code.
It's a shithole, dude.
Write off your lifestyle. And like, if you're not making content, make a little bit of content, because the reality of it is, I mean, this is legitimate. If Brad goes and buys a $100,000 watch today, and he does one Instagram story where he's wearing that watch, that qualifies as a business expense, because you have used that watch in a piece of promotional content for your business.
And I determined that it was necessary to continue to thrive.
because it has the advantage of being true. And
also it's provable that wearing a $100,000 watch gives you more influence. And if you're an influencer, that is a tool
correct
that you're using in your business, much like Rolls Royces and private jets and all that other bullshit.
Now that's not what we're not saying go buy a bunch of shit that you can't necessarily afford just to write it off. It's to help you just develop an awareness that you should be writing off everything within your lifestyle as long as you keep good records and as long as you can legitimize it as a business expense.
I would agree. Now, again, I'm terrible at that, dude. I overpay on taxes because I don't want audits and this bullshit. And then guess what? One day I got audited. Nothing was out of place. They left without one penny, one bitch, one crime. And I'm like, cool, that's what I thought. And then my accountant said, that's because you don't claim anything. I'm like, what are you talking about? He goes, Brad, you overpay. When they came in here and saw that you're overpaying, they left quietly, so you didn't realize you're overpaying. And I'm really glad I overpay like a dumbass.
I'm really glad that you said that, because that's such an important point. So most people that hear this, they will have a lot of internal resistance to writing off dinners and trips, and if they decide to get a watch. But that's because you guys are lying about certain expenses that you shouldn't be. You shouldn't be. And the IRS knows that people are going to do that. So there's a certain little cushion that's built in. But if you actually apply what it is that I'm saying and understand the tax code, you no longer have to do any of that shit. So you go into all of this with a clear conscience, so you can write all this stuff. If you get audited, cool.
If you get audited,
look, if you have your shit tightened up and you have all of the records, and you have, again, if push came to shove and Brad had that watch on there and he could go back in a social media story archive and show, hey, on August 5th, I did a story, boom, done. Again, it is not the IRS's job to argue with you. It's their job to ensure that the money that was you're claiming and are writing off was actually spent for that expense.
And not only that, what's the worst thing that can happen?
The worst thing that can happen is they basically say, okay, this is not a business expense, which they
decline.
They decline it.
And they go, nope, sorry, pay. They're not
going to chop your dick off, which again, a third of you guys can't even see anyway. Yeah. They're not going to fine you in addition. You would just have to pay.
Dude, what kind of body fat do you think I am?
So we were discussing this earlier. I mean, look, your arms are big. I'd have to see your torso, but I would think 16, 15, 16.
No, more than that.
More than that? Oh, look, man, I'm not going to say, I'm trying to gas you up here, bro. You're my boy. You don't put me in a position to.
No, dude, if you're my boy.
Well, you want me to shame you? Take your shirt off. Let's go.
If you're my boy, I'd say, tell me the
truth.
So
in a t-shirt, you look 15, 16.
Okay, good. I'll go with that.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, because I've got this app that I told you, the app off the internet said I was 26%. I'm like, no. So I lowered the weight just to see if it would give me, because dude, if I'm 26, I'm 26, no matter what I weigh.
I think it's a huge waste of time, man.
Yeah, it fucking screwed me.
Yeah. Look, I think measuring is important. I think ultimately that's what you're trying to do.
What percentage do you think a guy should walk around in?
You're asking me?
Yeah.
So if a man wants to be the most optimized version of himself,
enjoy life.
10%, because you can. I enjoy life.
Okay, because my number was 12. If I can get to 12% and just walk around at 12, and then when I want, I'll get down to 8 and shit because a show or I'm going to a fucking beach or something, 8 to 12. If you can walk around 8 to 12, dude, I think you can still enjoy life a little bit.
Listen, brother, if you can get to 12.
Ranch.
Agreed. If you can get to 12, then you can get to 10. And once you're there, it becomes a lot easier to maintain.
Yeah, but you have to give up ranch dressing?
No, bro. I mean, I don't enjoy ranch. So,
but if you did,
so last night, for example,
like, dude, I know giving up donuts. I give up donuts. I give up Cocoa Puffs. I give up Captain Crunch. I give up all the shit that obviously no one should be eating. That's easy. Why? Because it's totally fucking sugar and unhealthy. But I'm talking about fucking a little fucking flavor. You kidding me? I can't have a fucking New York strip. I need a goddamn dry ass fucking unflavored piece of meat.
0% of my food is unseasoned or is bland. That's one of the things we take a great deal of pride in at Nutrition Solutions.
But you don't just eat Nutrition Solutions.
No, of course not. But 95% of my food is Nutrition Solutions. I had my meals overnighted here to the hotel, Encore. Last night, I went, worked out.
Now, see, I don't want to live that way though.
I completely understand. I'm just telling you what I do.
Hey, as you know, I tried it. Well, I know, but dude, you're not normal. You know that, right? You want the normal people, right? You want the normal people. You want millions of normal people.
I don't understand why people would want to strive to be normal.
Well, they don't. They want to strive to be better, but you got to reach the normal.
Yep.
Now, the normal is not thinking like you. I, in my mind, am normal. You're not normal.
Yeah, I disagree.
I'm normal.
Okay.
So like, for example, if I'm going to Dallas for 4 days, I don't want to pack a bunch of fucking food. I don't want to ship a bunch of fucking food and find out my hotel doesn't have a fridge. Well, all you do is call them. Well, I fucking tried that before and they didn't have a fridge. So now I'm all fucking sitting there with a bunch of rotten fucking meals. You know what I said? I said, fuck it, dude. What's in these goddamn meals that I would have had with me? Mm-hmm. Oh, it's hamburger. It's bison, it's turkey, it's whatever. You're telling me there's no fucking restaurant around here with turkey and bison and shit that I can't just go eat the same shit?
Usually, no, there's not.
There has to be.
It's not as readily available as all the other options.
Because I walk into a fucking Fleming's and I say, dude, give me a New York strip medium and a fucking side of steamed asparagus.
And that's awesome. You should do that.
And you know what they do? They go, and I go, bang.
Dang.
Now, if I had a Nutrition Solutions with steak and asparagus, I would have ate the same shit.
Yeah.
Yours might have been healthier though.
But I feel like that's a discredit to it. We do not have meals that are strictly steak and asparagus. That sounds awful.
No, dude, that's what I eat. That's
so
what works.
Last night I was saying after my workout, I had an elk and sweet potato meal. It was amazing. Nutrition Solutions. I went back to the hotel. I crushed the workout, second workout of the day. And I got on a little iPad there because the entire room at the Encore is controlled by the iPad, little room service. And I ordered some homemade carrot cake because I felt that I had earned it via
it couldn't have been homemade.
Workouts. Well, that's what they said.
Yeah, but what home was it made in?
The Encore's kitchen, likely.
That's not home.
Well, you know, it was nice when the man dropped it off and told me that fresh homemade carrot cake, it made it taste a little better. But I enjoyed the shit out of it.
With the frosting and everything?
Of course. Brad, who would eat carrot cake?
By the way, guys, if you guys like donuts, dude, your Nutrition Solutions donuts, they're not like donuts, but they're fucking
They're the
good.
best healthy donuts
They're
that you'll
good
find in the
donuts.
world.
Like
Yeah.
you want one, and I don't know if it's coconut oil or what the fuck you do with the frosting.
Yeah, it's coconut
it's
oil.
almost like I want a bigger bite of frosting than you give.
It's an organic coconut oil based frosting. But look, this is an important point. I think where you have gone wrong in the past is you have attempted to restrict yourself to 2 or 3 things: ground turkey and bison. And if you remember, we've had this conversation in private.
I like it that way though. You try to get me to try tandoori chicken with fucking,
This is true. I did.
Sweet Indian, spices. And it's like fucking,
You're just destroying the credibility of our company. Our shit is much better than that. Nonetheless, the reason I tried to do that, Brad, it wasn't because I gave 2 fucks whether, first of all, my first suggestion was to get a personal chef. Okay. Secondly, it's not about Nutrition Solutions or not. It's about variety. We've all seen so many people who've lost a ton of weight and then gained it all back, and often cases then some. And the reason the reason that happens is
it's not sustainable.
Eating extremely limited food choices and eating as low a calorie. This is most people's strategy. They just attempt to eat as little as possible. And it's not sustainable. I don't care how disciplined you are.
But that's the real reason it's not sustainable. That's why.
Correct.
If it was sustainable, then it'd be fine.
But the reason I believe that you kind of always try to revert back to that is because you have a positive, but does it? Because I'll always say this.
That's what, whenever I'm in shape, it's when I stop fucking eating everything and I start focusing on the basics. Like, give me some fucking protein.
Yeah.
Okay. Give me some fucking protein.
Yeah. But I tell people all the time, look, if you gained all the weight back, then your diet didn't work. And just because it worked for a little while, the reason we stress variety and mental gratification at Nutrition Solutions is because, most people's association with a diet and eating healthy is like, unmarinated food that tastes like cardboard, right? In little tiny portions. We're trying to make dieting great again and make.
Do you guys have pasta?
Yeah. 100%.
Like, do you have a fucking Nutrition Solutions mac and cheese?
Yep. You know we do. Or are you joking?
I am joking.
Oh yeah, no.
You guys would just send me the fucking
bison because of what you asked for.
Yeah, I know. You guys send me the fucking meat and the veggies
because of what you asked for.
Exactly.
Which I strongly urged. I strongly urged you away from that. But
you tried to get me to do the normal, wonderful selections
because that's what works. Yeah, we
But
buy some mac and cheese, elk mac and cheese.
What if someone doesn't like elk?
Look, these are all amazing questions. So a lot of times we get a little resistance from people who come to us. They're fat, they're out of shape, they've been eating terrible, and they come to us and they say, I want to use nutrition solutions, so can I choose my own meals? So what I have my team trained to help them understand is like, well, you're coming to us for a very specific reason. And you wouldn't hire a personal trainer, show up for the workout that day, and the trainer is like, all right, here's the workout, it's on the board. You say, well, I don't want to do this workout. I want to do the workout that I have been doing that basically
doesn't work.
That clearly doesn't work. That made me get to a point where I needed to enlist your services. So it's kind of understanding that like where you are now as a result of how you think and the choices that you made. So if you want to get somewhere you've never been, you got to do something you've never done. Now, sure, at Nutrition Solutions, if you have food allergies or foods that you just dislike or despise, that will be
factored in,
part of your permanent profile. You won't get those things, but we try to tell people like where you.
What did I say I hated?
Bro, everything. It was annoying. I knew it wasn't going to work. But the thing is, man, when we try to people,
hey, didn't I admit it?
You did.
I said, dude, this ain't.
But it's changing it's changing a mindset, bro. You're not at Fleming's where it's like, oh, can I get this with no mushrooms, or Burger King where you can have it your way. Where you are is a result of the choices that you have made. So when people prefer not to have onions, we try to help them understand that, onions offer a lot of major health benefits. So try to view these things that you would prefer not to have as a supplement that is going to offer numerous.
So you got to look at food as fuel,
brother. You got to change, or don't, and keep doing what the fuck you're doing, and then look down, and hopefully your dick is visible and stays that way.
Well, dude, I don't think. I mean, a third can't see their dick. That'd be a lot.
1/3. I wouldn't come on here.
That's 100 million men right here in the United States.
Not shocking at all. Look around. Again, not your circles, not the events. Go to the airport. I mean,
dude,
you fly private.
But dude, like how far your belly would have to be way out there.
I mean,
mine would have to be. I'd have to have a fucking 7-8 inch.
Do we have a fact checker on staff? I feel like we should do this on air because it's true. I wouldn't come on here and just talk out of my ass.
Dude, we need fact checkers.
I'm the fact checker. I'm the one stating the facts.
Cavallini like literally studies every day, all day. Like this shit fascinates you.
No, what fascinates me is how people can accept being anything less than what they're capable of being. I just don't understand.
Were you always ripped?
I was always in pretty good shape because I was a very insecure kid. And when I found the gym, I was a very angry kid. When I found the gym, it was like an outlet that helped me kind of establish feelings of significance and help me build my confidence.
Got you confidence, right?
Yeah.
That's why I tell people, like, dude, listen, at the end of the day, I don't think everyone needs to have your fucking body.
Neither do I.
That's sacrifice. That's fucking serious sacrifice. But see, you enjoy that shit. And you're to a point where the food you're eating, that is what you prefer.
Yeah.
See, what most people don't understand, I got to eat that shit to look like that. I don't want to look like that. You don't have to eat that shit. You can eat whatever the fuck you want to eat. The question is, right, is the food you're eating going to lead to like flawlessness? Well, not me. Why? Because I'm having ranch motherfucking dressing. Why? Because dude, if I look like this and died after having, carrot cake and ranch versus some dude that fucking looks like you and never got anything except fucking cardboard bullshit, I'd rather be me.
I understand. I understand. The thing,
not that Nutrition Solutions, because dude, you guys have more fucking variety than I've ever seen.
Well, you didn't
anyway.
know. I mean, I'm Phil a bit.
No, you got all
disrespected
kinds of fucking flavors, bro.
But I'm glad you actually said the mac and cheese thing because yes,
I didn't see no mac and cheese in my order.
You didn't, and we've established why. But
I saw like curry chicken with
whole grain mac and cheese, high protein whole grain pasta with low fat cheddar. Right? It's basically you'll see a lot of your quote unquote favorite comfort foods that are just cleaned up because to your point, you can eat anything. It just has to be portioned appropriately and not processed.
Yeah, but dude, everything that I ate from Nutrition Solutions was good. Delicious.
What has to be for
some of it were really delicious because I prefer steak or I prefer hamburger and shit like that. Not so much turkey and chicken and whatnot, but or fish. Yeah. But everything I ate was fucking good.
Thank you, brother.
The only reason I said it ain't working is because I travel a lot. And
I completely understand.
And I fucking tried to bring the food and this and that and the bullshit and fucking I'd come home and like because you were sending me shit to where like if I didn't eat,
it stocks up.
Next thing you know, I got 39 old ones. And now I'm just waiting on the new ones. Yeah. So I'm not eating that way anyway. Then the new ones show up. I eat a little bit and then I go to fucking this town or that town and I don't do it perfect. And so now I've got 500 and it wasn't fair. So I'm like, dude, this ain't fair. Understood. But at the end of the day, they're all I just want these guys to know I'm making fun because curry chicken, because you guys had selections. You had like chefs making all kinds of shit. But and it was good.
That's important to people, Brad. A tiny percentage of people could actually eat the way that you do. And I don't think you realize how rare that is. Normally it's bodybuilders who are in competition prep mode, but they only do it for a very short period of time when they're getting ready for. So like the way you eat is actually very high level of discipline. You restrict yourself of the gratification that people typically enjoy.
No, like for example, steak. Mm-hmm. If I walk out right now, I just order fresh from that protein house down the street.
Yeah.
A fucking steak and avocado.
Cool.
Now, when it comes, where's the A1?
Yeah.
Oh, you can't have A1. You're on a fucking program. Fuck you. I'm having A1.
Yeah.
And if I have a little sour cream laying around, I want to dip it in that shit too.
Yeah.
Why? Well, because you can if you want to look like that. Well, then I don't want to look like that. Why? I want fucking sour cream and A1.
So it's
unless, of course, it made it to where I can't see my dick.
Listen,
then I don't want anything.
Yeah, they need
like
to call
for
me.
you that can't see your dick, there's nothing that tastes that good. Not even fucking ranch or Ritz crackers. Fuck you. You can't see your dick. I'd stop eating everything until you could.
But you know what's funny about that?
And by the way, real quick, because I'll forget.
Please.
Dude, if you can't see your dick, what do you think your girl thinks?
Assuming you have a girl.
Dude, you got a girl. There's a lot of fucking dudes out there that are out of shape with a girl.
Yeah, and the girl is looking at my Instagram profile multiple times a day, probably thinking about me when your fat ass is on top of her. That's just the truth.
Well, there's going to be girls in the comments going, no, I love my guy and he's overweight.
No, you love the fact, again, that he will never judge you for gaining weight and not doing anything about it. You also love the fact that if your man is women try to debate this with me all the time. They say, no, I love my husband's dad bod. And I say, oh, of course, listen, you're an amazing woman. You care about your husband very much. And that's very admirable. But I would argue you don't love his dad bod. You love your husband because
period.
And I just, let me ask you this one question.
Because if they're at a crystal ball and he just naturally got in killer shape, she's not going to love him anymore. No, she's going to love him, but she'll say no more than that. She would prefer that because it shows more of a fucking successful individual in their relationship.
Correct. And I ask him like, well, you wouldn't love the same body on another man, would you? And there's about a 3 to 4 second awkward pause. And 100% of the time they answer, well, now that you say it like that, no, I would not. So,
because it's him.
Exactly. It's him. You love him. You love your husband. You're a great woman. That's awesome. That's what you should do. But if you really loved your husband, you would have the conversation with them. You know what I'm saying? Have the uncomfortable conversation. It's as simple as that.
Now pay attention, folks. So what we've talked about so far is number one, if you want to get kick-ass meals and get that dad bod taken care of, Nutrition Solutions. You need to fucking figure out taxes because you're probably paying way more than you should. And there's all kinds of ways to not legally by structuring your business a per special way. I say, go talk to your accountant. You say, no, it's not your accountant. You pick up the books and read for yourself.
Own it. Yeah.
Own it. And then, do some hallucinogens. Apparently,
I didn't say that, but the thing about the 1/3 of the population that can't see their dick, I think earlier when you were speaking to those people, there's probably a lot of people that are hearing that and then they look down like, yeah, I'm good, as they kind of maybe push it in a little bit. Listen, the 33.3% of men who can't currently see their own dick, one day at some point they could see it. So
and it'll be longer.
Correct. Look, if look at the last couple of years, and if it's getting to a point where, you're gaining weight and adding more body fat, eventually you will be amongst the 1/3 of men. So don't wait till it gets to that point. Start today.
Hey, listen, if any of you guys are angry, here's what I want you to do. I want you to go find Chris on social media at Chris Cavallini, Cavallini, and give him a piece of your mind and tell him you're from the bomb squad and you didn't appreciate that shit at all.
But those of you who did, I would love to hear the opposite as well.
For those of you who did, yeah, either way, it was positive. Go track him down and let him know. More importantly, though, go support the dude. Like, even though he's making millions of dollars and has customers all over the frickin' planet, if you really want good kick-ass food, go to nutritionsolutions.com. Tell them old Bomb Squad sent you and you'll get a free donut.
Boom.
Till next time, folks, keep it real.
Well, once you're in control, the next step is to take responsibility. And that's asking that why. If you're in control, why you broke? If you're in control, why you fat? If you're in control, why do your kids run around and fucking not look up to you? You know, how come you're not the family guy you want to be? How come you're not the leader that you want to be? How come you're not the employer that you want to be? How come